you guys look in Appendix A on page 24, okay? So there are 4 approaches. Go ahead. Okay. Legacy IT is one of the things we're dealing with. I'm sorry, I think maybe there's a lot of different things here. So I realize this seems confusing, but I wanted to make sure we get at this. Okay. If you look at these 4 things, okay, EAI technology is a fairly heavy way of dealing with this. It's resource intensive because we need to create all these adapters, we need to do all this consulting, right? Okay. The second thing is like the Oracle suite or something, right?
Does everybody understand sort of what this product does?
Thanks.
It took me a long time when I read this to figure out what all this is really a link from one system to another. Anybody know BizTalk? Like Microsoft has a BizTalk product. That's, I think, a newer version of this. So all it does is allow other systems, like a CRM system, to talk to your ERP and ERP. That's all this does. So it's like linking, like EDI, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So,
it's basically transfer of information.
exactly, from one system to the other. So now they use XML, right? Everything has an XML tag. So the other software could see it and read the XML tag. So this is 10 years before XML, right? What is this, 96?
95.
95, right? So this is 10 years before really people are using XML. This is why this is so important. All this data is run on AS400s, these systems that have been running for 20 years, and now they want to use like a SQL-based or Microsoft-based system. They can't get the data out. That's where these guys come in. They can pull data out of their, like, these older systems and use them in modern systems. So it took me a while to figure out what the hell these guys even did. I had to read through the thing, and I still didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to understand what they do, because then you can see where they add value.
Well done, David. Thank you. So what this whole preamble to our discussion was intended to do is like, look, this is a hard case to understand even what they're doing, right? It's very technical. You kind of figure it out at the end. There's an appendix that describes the EAI market, right? But all I was trying to get at is that there are different approaches to achieving that. Some big companies are trying to release software products that can do all of this, right? And usually, like Oracle was big at that right at case time, where they were trying to create business suites that would be somewhat one size fits all, but that would force companies to do all these things in a standardized way instead of trying to integrate between all these separate and legacy solutions, right? So this was one way of doing it. The second way is to do all this linking. That's what Juno and STI are focused on. The third way is becoming, more and more important, right? Is that you do all these things through the web, so everybody kind of has to speak a common web language, more or less, okay? And this, so this says everybody speaks English, right? This says we create Esperanto or some international trade language to translate for everybody. This says, no, wait a minute. Well, actually, this is more like Esperanto. Sorry, this is like a trade language. The linking is more like we hire a bunch of translators. Okay, sorry, my metaphor broke down. And then there was a lot of hype about this at the time. There isn't that much now. But the idea was that you would have these hubs where different providers would come together to connect around all these services. Okay, I remember seeing these huge presentations in like 2000. All that, everything was going to be these modular puzzle pieces that would fit together. I don't think things really turned out quite that way, but that was the third case time before. Okay, so is everyone clear what this is, what's going on here with that? Okay. The second thing that we need to be clear on before we move on is the different pieces of the business. Everyone knows they do consulting, right? But they've been doing system integration for their biggest client previously, but now they want to get into software, right? And I want to turn your attention to the exhibits once again, okay? Find, please, the exhibit where it shows you third-party software, software vendors. What are the alternative ways of doing this? We can pull that. See if you can pull it. Again, the mission right now is to get everybody thinking about the exhibits and the data for these cases. Good. Srinath, was that you? Who said that? Thought so. So lead them to the right page again. Page 27. Okay, everybody take a look at that. Okay, this was actually not everybody get to know these tables. There's another one in here. Exhibit 2, page what? Page 12. Good. Okay. Everybody's seeing this. Okay. So STI has been where so far? Which of these partnerships have they been in?
I know the third party developer ODC.
Yes, exactly. And that means, let's just be clear, that they're selling aftermarket enhancements, right? That's like if you downloaded Crystal Ball for Excel or something, okay? Microsoft didn't make that Excel. The difference here with Juno is the one that drives the rest of the case, right? Is that they're not selling this on their own just to work with Juno systems. They're selling it blind to the customers. It's going to be, as far as they know, Juno did it, right? As far as they know, they're part of Juno. That difference is clear, right? Now, what is the implication of that, Carol? What is the implication of that in terms of how serious this partnership is going to be? When you're a third-party vendor, so we'll think it through. When you're a third-party vendor, right? If the main company does something you don't like, right? It's threatening, right? If you've been selling a third-party enhancement and they build it into their main suite, that's not good, is it? But your IP risk, well, you have IP risk in both cases, right? You have IP risk, but it's a much increased IP risk when you're getting embedded with them because they can actually, they have direct access to everything you're doing, right? They don't just have to look at it in the marketplace and try to do it themselves, right? They actually can get in there and see what you're doing. You're much more closely on. What are the other risks in getting embedded together, right? I had this on the other board.
You get somebody pregnant.
What?
You get somebody pregnant.
Well, you can get somebody pregnant. Okay, how does that apply in this case?
And it says is that you have a relationship that you don't want, but you got this child that you got to take care of until they're 18.
So what could that child be, since we'll stretch the metaphor, okay?
It could be a boy or a girl.
STI and Juno are the parents, right? They sound like Greek gods, okay? Now,
No, it sounds like it's, oh, never mind.
Now, what could happen out of this that would be bad? Eugene.
Well, what he was fearing is that if Juno really likes the way they work, they can just take their employees over and
okay, poaching, good.
Strip down the whole company.
So they help Juno get quickly to market. Time is of the essence. Everyone's clear on that, right? There's a race to do this. And because for anyone in the AI, developing these adapters to go with the different applications, developing the adapters to go with the different applications is critical, right? Whoever does that quicker is going to have more customers, right? If they help Juno do that much more quickly by taking on the risk of developing the adapters, then does Juno need them as much?
No, when they develop, they go.
They don't need them as much. And so then, to Eugene's point, they can poach them. What else can they do? What does starving them mean? What are we starving to mention in the case?
Just give them this.
They could put them out of business by just not feeding work to them, right? We need, the point is that if we do this, the opportunity is huge, but we need Juno's full participation, right? We need their salespeople to actually refer consultants to us, right? Maria.
He wanted to build, in the case A, he wanted to build, based on his business model, a relationship. So he wanted a win-win. So it wasn't, being that he's an entrepreneur and he's looking for being opportunistic